I chose the shoe because it's the ugly shoe of an evil businessman. The flat toe, no laces, sort of like a shitty polish going on there.
Do you own shoes like that?
No.
Nice.
Thank goodness, because after that, I'd have felt really fucking lame. I'd have been like, shit, I got those in my closet right now. Shit.
This is Forced Exposure, a show where we take a musician to meet an artist from a completely different medium. Today we have Miguel speaking to artist Connor Olthuis about his latest exhibition. Connor's newest work examines how we treat commodities in the age of globalization. Connor, what are we looking at here?
So yeah, I guess these sort of two pieces tie together like sort of the overarching idea behind the exhibit. So yeah, like it's two fruit shipping sort of containers, and then it's laser etched with the largest shipping giant in the world. And then there's like a little clip art that I just ripped off the internet. I think the file name was like Proud Businessman Taking Steps Forward. So yeah, just sort of looking at like the actual infrastructure behind like how we're able to get like bananas every morning or something like that.
Do you kind of see music as like a commodity similar to oranges? And do you think it's changed as a result of globalization and everything being easier to get?
Man, this makes me think of it more critically now. We almost lose sight of like the importance or how much work and effort goes into growing and like producing the actual, you know, produce or whatever. In the same way with music, there's like quality is better than quantity, I suppose. And so in this time where all kinds of music is available all at once, I guess it's all just about creating the best that you can with the most honest intention. Pretty fucking interesting.
So this is kind of like a weird, absurd tableau. So this is a really cheap wine cooler, and then a piece of sod inside. So I find sod is like it's a really good indicator of like that idea of like convenience and like patchwork and like grass comes from like aristocracy back in like, I mean, the late Middle Ages, I think it started getting cultivated, and it was a real indicator of like wealth.
Affluence, yeah.
And then slowly it became more of a middle class thing and proved that you were able to take care of your home, and like you had this like pristine lawn. And so it's, yeah, super convenient, like weird little product, and it's shipped from, you know, fairly far distances just so you can like have a nice lawn.
How do you keep music or stuff that you make organic without making it seem, you know, artificial or just for show?
I think there's a special thing about making things accessible. For music, I think there's a level of like authenticity that automatically is going to not resonate with everyone. You know what I'm saying? You kind of free yourself from worrying about making it so accessible to everyone, because you know you can't please everyone, you know? I love the conversation. I thought it was super thoughtful, and I love that it's kind of open-ended. It's exploring, making things extremely accessible. You know, the positive of that and the negative side of that.
So this is definitely like the funniest thing I've ever made, I think. I don't know, art is like inherently funny no matter how serious it is to me. It's always like, has a level of like humor in it. The shoe is a really important part of like the infrastructure of like human beings. Like it's full of, yeah, like rubble from an abandoned building that's on a street nearby here that I feel like sort of shows like the cyclical nature of like a business existing and then like crumbling after it's served its value or it's become too expensive. And yeah, there's a grow light attached to it, which is sort of speaking to the idea of like recreating natural things artificially. I also just think it looks funny. It's like sort of like a demented Pixar lamp or something.
How do you keep yourself in situations where you're forced to stay creative? Because I mean, I guess when you're in the studio, isn't that like being in a cubicle in a way where you're put in a place where you need to work? You know, there was a time when it was a real serious fucking thing. You're gonna go work at a studio, you had like book out time, and you had to have, there were like people, and now it's so much easier. I could go to my room now and essentially produce a full project in my room by myself, you know? Almost a product art of the conversation here is that, you know, making some things a lot more accessible in that way, for me, has freed my creativity that much more. My favorite piece would have to be the sod in the wine fridge. There were so many
layers of it, you know, the history of the sod, what it represented at a certain time, how what it represented evolved in American culture.
Yeah, Miguel is an art critic. He definitely impressed me. He said a lot of really interesting things. I hope people can see what I tried to put into the work, and he definitely got some of the key ideas and thought beyond that, so that was really nice.
Especially because it's coming from like a pure place. And that's what Wild Heart is about. It's about doing things from a place that really resonates with what you see and believe and think. And I think all of that is clear in all of the pieces that I saw. So, yeah. Connor, man, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks again, brother.
Yeah, take care.
It's much, much more, man. Looking forward to it. I love it. This shit's fucking righteous.